Please be seated. Thank you for your patience. We will resume with the direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. If the court would permit it, I would ask Trooper Cruz if you could come down, and I'll turn it to you. If you could come down and help us in understanding what you were talking about earlier with, I'll turn it so the counsel can also see. The border car, what a B pillar is, what a C pillar is, and then show us on here where at the time that Trooper Casey was shot, where you were, Trooper Alfano, and Trooper Casey was, and the way they were looking.
Ms. Dahl?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If you will push that back a little bit. Officer, that black button on the bar right next to Ms. Dahl is a microphone. So if you lean closer to that, it will pick up your voice. Your voice is a little bit soft at times, and that will help the jury be able to hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
So this right here is the curb I was speaking about that the vehicle is parked next to. This rectangle is going to be our four-door sedan. This right here would be your hood. You have the front window, and these are going to be your doors. We're going to call this back here the trunk area. Where the front window connects to the roof of the car, that is your A pillar. Where the joint is for the closing of the front doors and where the back door would open, that is your B pillar. And your C pillar is back here where your back window goes down towards the trunk. Trooper Casey was standing towards this B pillar. So this direction is south, and here you have north. Trooper Casey was standing around this B pillar, and he was looking in a north direction. Trooper Alfano was standing towards the C pillar, closer to the trunk. He was facing in a south direction. I was standing by the passenger side, C pillar, and I was also facing south.
Could you show us, now that you're standing up, how you were leaning against the vehicle with your flashlight, and you described moving it up and down against the closed rear passenger side window?
So if this was the roof line of the vehicle, and this is your window, this is your C pillar towards your trunk. When I initially put my hand on my flashlight against the window and I couldn't see anything, training kicks in, and I want to bring my body closer to the vehicle. It's this basic police training. You're fearful of getting shot in a situation. You put your body closer to the vehicle. So as I did that, I raised my arm up and put it on the roof of the vehicle. And I actually, using this pin as my flashlight, I curled my hand down so only my hand was exposed on the flashlight. And I curled my body as I'm standing right now, and I leaned my body up against that C pillar so that the only thing exposed would be my hand holding the flashlight. And I was in a position similar to this, looking across the top of the hood at Trooper Casey when the shooting began.
Now, you never saw the identities or the faces of the individuals in the car, is that right?
That's correct. I never saw them.
You can just tell us from where the shots were fired both times.
Correct.
Could you please go back to the witness stand? Thank you. Trustee Dana.
We have backup.
Thank you, Yvonne.
We're good.
Thank you. So, Cruz, I'm going to show you what's been admitted as exhibit number 246. Do you recognize, sir, the area that's depicted on this map?
Yes, I do.
Could you describe for us where the car stop was on this map?
So that is Interstate 17, and on the left side of your screen is the Knights Inn.
Your Honor, would it be okay if the witness stood next to the screen behind it?
It is. I would also note that this is a touch screen. So to the extent that he wanted to make any marks, he may do so on the touch screen as well.
My case agent wants me to print and do exhibits, but this is my comfort zone here.
However you choose to
Using
proceed.
PowerPoint. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Reynaldo, could you stand up at the screen behind you and show us where the car stop was?
I think this is the Knights Inn right here.
Let me put exhibit 91 up. That'd be a little better.
Sorry, I pointed at the wrong building. This is actually the Knights Inn, this entire building.
That's in the area of I-17 and McDowell.
Correct, on the southbound frontage road.
Can you actually see the scene in this photo?
Yes, I can.
Now I'm going to put what has been admitted as exhibit number 74 up on what we refer to as the LL. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Tell us what we're looking at as it relates to the shooting that occurred on October 8th.
What we're looking at is the southbound frontage road. This is one of the driveways for the Knights Inn. There's Trooper Casey's vehicle. There's my vehicle to the right of it, and Trooper Alfano's vehicle.
Behind your vehicle?
That is correct.
Now there's another DPS car that we see there, and that was not there at the time of the shooting, correct?
Correct, that belonged to one of the responding units.
Now putting exhibit 80 up on the screen. What are we looking at here?
This is the exit the vehicle used, and this is the awning I've been referring to, that once the vehicle passed underneath this awning, I could no longer keep a visual on the vehicle.
Now I'm going to put exhibit 92, which is a little bit of a larger image. Is that an image of the Knights Inn Motel?
Yes, it is.
And was it significant to you? Well, let me ask you this. After the first shooting occurred, and Officer Casey's down in your rendering lead, where is it that the blue sable came from?
Reality is that the vehicle, I was told, exited through this driveway and our patrol vehicles. Initially, I thought it came from this street that's directly behind the wall.
And that's where Jaguars is?
Correct. This is actually a side road that leads to Jaguars nightclub.
It's significant that the entire parking lot of the Knights Inn is enclosed either by fencing or a block wall.
Yes, this picture does not show it. There's a block wall at the rear of the property with a gate on the end of it that's kept closed.
I'm now going to show you what's been admitted as exhibit number 114.
Here's we're looking northbound at our traffic stop. Trooper Casey's vehicle, my vehicle, Trooper Alfano's vehicle.
Where was the blue Mercury disabled?
Right here where the flashlight is, and looks like a possible tire mark, that area, that general area.
Whose flashlight was that, if you know?
Trooper Casey's.
Is that approximately where he was standing?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a different angle, Exhibit 112. What are we looking at here?
Right here we're looking at his flashlight. I believe it's 2 IDs, and I believe that's his notepad.
Would that be consistent with the 2 identifications that were handed by the front seat passengers?
Yes.
Exhibit 113, for the record, is now up on the screen. What are we looking at here?
We have these 2 Arizona ID cards. I don't know if they were ID cards or driver's license. DPS issued flashlight and his notepad that he had in his left hand when I saw him get shot.
I'll zoom in a little bit here. Is that where Trooper Casey fell to the ground after being shot?
Yes, in this general area right here.
I'm going to show you. What does that appear to be here?
To me, that looks like a blood stain on the grass.
I'm going to show you what's connected as exhibit number 117. Does that appear to be a closer view of that?
Yes,
That was before we body dragged him?
correct.
Have you listened to the radio traffic
I have.
at night?
Yes, I have.
State moves exhibit 247 into evidence at this time.
Without objection.
Exhibit 247 has been admitted and may be published.
Permission to play a copy of it.
No objection to the playing of the copy.
No, Your Honor.
Trooper Cruz, what I'd like to do is listen to it for the first 3.5 minutes and then have you tell us what example your call sign was and so on, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But before we start, please tell us what the radio call 998 is.
So in DPS, we have codes put up over the air, and 998 is an officer-involved shooting.
What is 999?
Officer down or an officer's been killed.
What is the point of those?
To alert the rest of our units that we've been involved in a shooting or that one of our officers was killed.
What was your, I'm going to use the term call sign or radio number. I'm not sure what the right term is for DPS. If you could tell us what that was.
My call sign was Charles 326.
And what about Alfano?
I believe Alfano was Charles 322.
And was Charles 325 Trooper Casey?
Yes, it was.
Crossing on 410 233.
Officer 25, code 4, sound white.
Crossing 510 for the 236. Attention for pedestrian north on I-17 south of Thunderbird, walking off right, male with gray pants and a white shooting backpack.
Charles 323, cactus to 17.
3 Cactus I-17 242. Flying call for unit to assist Capital 312 at 1038 Frank, 17th Avenue in Washington.
Charles 314, I'm not down here. You head there for my stop.
Charles 314, 10-4, 256.
Charles 326, can you show me 19 at 325?
Charles 326, 10-4. Charles 325, code 20 stop, Nights Inn, southbound 17, McDowell.
Charles 325, I'm code 4. I was just going to call for another unit, but I hear 323. Sorry, 326 is on his way.
10-4, 257.
325 back. I'm also going to run 529 checks. So if you get any warrants, just let me know.
Charles 325, 10-4, 250.
Charles 323, 1019 from Campbellback.
223, 10-4, 258.
Charles 314, do we have any major cross streets where that capital unit's at?
314, he's at 17th Avenue in Washington. How far are you, 1019 now?
Yes, ma'am.
10-4, 259.
Charles 325, I'm not sure on that 1038. I'm getting no record found on the name you gave me.
Charles 325, 10-4, 259.
Charles 314 on 97.
Charles 314, 10-4, 304.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
10-9, where the shots fired.
999! 998!
10-4, copy 99. What's
We had
the,
officer down, shots fired!
what's the 1020?
Nice in!
10-4, Nights Inn, shots fired. 998, 999, Officer Dale.
This is your last again. CPS. Shit.
10-4, he just drove by you again.
315-19.
Sharpie 15, 10-4.
313-19.
Sharpie 13, 10-4.
Do we have any copy?
Okay, someone advise of a vehicle description?
315, hold traffic to them, please.
10-4, units holding.
One moment, please. For the jurors, on all exhibits that are admitted into evidence, you will be provided with copies of those exhibits. If it is audiovisual equipment, you will be provided with the means by which you can review that information if you would like to review it again later. So understand that though at times it may be difficult for you to see or hear anything that's going on in the trial, you will have that information available to you during your deliberations. Thank you. Ms. Dahl, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you listen to this radio?
Yes,
About how many times?
hundreds.
I need for your help and explain to us what was happening for those of us who don't understand the codes. All right?
Yes.
Very slowly. Starting at the beginning.
Charles 314, 10-4, 233.
Who are we listening to?
So right now we're hearing our main dispatcher, who's assigned to Central Phoenix. So she not only controls all the radio traffic for Central Phoenix, but she was also controlling for what we call the Capital District, which is also in this call. And I need to clarify, Trooper Alfano's actually call sign Charles 323, not 322.
Charles 325, code 4, sound light.
What is code 4?
Charles 510, thank you, 23.
Trooper Casey just stated that he's okay at the moment, and when he said sound alike, when you run somebody for a warrants check, sometimes there's a similar name, so it's not the actual person, it's just somebody who had a similar name or similar date of birth. So he just said, okay, that's just a similarity. So whatever license or identification he just ran was not one of the subjects he had.
36. Attention for pedestrian north on I-17 south of Thunderbird, walking off right, male with gray pants and a white shady backpack.
Now it's an unrelated matter?
Charles 323, Cactus and 17.
The only relation there is when I said earlier that his first traffic was car to car, Trooper Alfano was headed towards Trooper Casey. Now Trooper Alfano just had to divert to go take care of this pedestrian who was on the roadway.
3 Cactus I-17, 242. Flying off for unit to assist Capital 312 at 1038 Frank, 17th Avenue in Washington.
What is happening there?
So right now it's just a call down at our Capital District. She's just asking for a unit to head down to Capital to assist one of those units down there.
Charles 314, I'm not down here today for my stop.
Charles 314, 10-4, 256.
Charles 326, can you show me 19 at 325?
That's myself alerting dispatch to put me en route to Trooper Casey's call, and I did that because I knew Alfano initially was going to back him up without being dispatched. So now that he diverted to take care of that pedestrian, I wanted dispatch to know that there is somebody going to assist Trooper Casey.
Charles 326, 10-4. Charles 325, code 20 stop, Nights Inn, southbound 17, McDowell.
Charles 325, I'm code 4.
So when we're on a traffic stop at night off the highway where we're not easily seen, there's a timer that's automatically set. I believe at nighttime, I cannot remember our policy, but I believe it was 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, our dispatcher will check to make sure we're still okay on scene, to which Trooper Casey's responding that he is, and he's about to alert her that he's going to run 529s. What a 2-9 check is when you're running somebody checking on for any warrants, outstanding warrants. So he's alerting dispatch that he's about to run 5 subjects, possibly looking for a warrant.
I was just going to call for another unit, but I hear 326 is on his way.
Sorry, I said that incorrectly. He's just clarifying that I'm en route because of all the people he's checking on his computer.
10-4, 257.
325 back. I'm also going to run 529 checks. So if you get any warrants, just let me know.
What's happening there?
So here's where he's alerting her, I'm about to check 5 different people for warrants. So sometimes because of similarities on our computers, we get so much information, we can't check it fast enough. Our dispatchers who are checking on us as well, they're also checking those warrants. So he's just giving her a heads up that she's about to have a lot of warrants pop up on her computer terminal.
Potentially based upon common names, right?
Correct.
And the fact that there is more than one person in the vehicle would also create quite a bit, right?
Correct.
That may not even be accurate, right?
Yes.
Charles 325, 10-4, 250.
Charles 323, 1019 from Campbellback.
253, 10-4, 258.
Trooper Alfano, realizing that Trooper Casey is out with 5 subjects, decides that is a higher priority call than a pedestrian walking on the side of the highway. So he's just advising our dispatcher that he's going to divert and head down to Trooper Casey.
Charles 314, do we have any major cross streets where that Capital unit's at?
And that one's unrelated.
314.
That call's unrelated. That's just for the unit that was headed down to assist our capital units.
That's 17th Avenue in Washington. How far are you, 1019 now?
Yes, ma'am.
10-4.
What's happening there?
Excuse me?
What's happening there? What is 1019?
That was once again the same unit that was responding down to the Capitol. 1019
259.
advising dispatch that he's en route.
Charles 325. I'm not sure on that 1038. I'm getting no record found on the name you gave.
So in our DPS code, a 1038 is a misdemeanor. Excuse me, it's just a warrant. So he's just advising dispatch. He's not sure on that one.
Charles 25, 10-4, 259.
And that number you hear the dispatcher always end with, she's always ending her side of the conversation with what time it is.
Charles 314 on 97.
Charles 314, 10-4, 304.
That's the unrelated call at Capitol. That unit was just advising he'd arrived down there.
And now it's 3:04 a.m.
Yes.
Who is that?
So that is me yelling into the radio.
Where the shots fired.
999. 998.
So because I explained earlier, I wore an earpiece on my right ear and the muzzle blast, the gunshot was so loud on my left ear. When I initially yelled out, shots fired, I didn't know if I internalized that or actually said it out loud because I couldn't hear it. So I repeated now by saying proper police code, which is 998, 999.
What are you doing in that moment?
At that point, I believe I'd already retreated back to my vehicle.
10-4, copy 99. What's the,
Officer down, start fire.
what's the 1020?
What is that?
So at that point, I'm running back up to Trooper Casey. Once again, just repeating myself, saying I have an officer down, roll fire. That means I need fire emergency personnel to respond. And she asked what my 20 was because she's not sure what unit is screaming into the radio. Our 1020 is our location. So she's asking me what location is this shooting occurring. It's a little bit of
10-4,
high,
nice in, shots.
just a stressful yelling at her what my location is. And she's repeating back nights in for all the other units that are listening.
Fire, 998, 999, Officer Dale.
Who's that?
So I don't know exactly where I was at when I yelled at. It was somewhere after they began shooting at me. It was after I took the kneeling position. So I don't remember if I yelled that out as I was running to the vehicle or as I got to the vehicle. But I wanted to update dispatch because I was fearful that I was about to get shot and possibly killed.
I want to talk about that. Had you ever felt that type of fear before?
No, I haven't.
You said you thought you were going to be killed?
Yes.
What about Trooper Alfano?
I'd lost sight of him, but I believed he was in danger as well.
And Trooper Casey?
I was worried that they were going to definitely try to shoot Trooper Casey as he was laying on the ground, defenseless.
10-4, he just drove by you again.
315,
These are just some responding units breaking radio protocol and just advising that they're coming en route. And you're about to hear, I believe, Charles 313 advise he's coming to the scene as well.
Charlie 15, 10-4.
313,
That's what I just
Charlie 13, 10-4.
Do we have a
Can someone advise of a vehicle description?
happening there?
The dispatcher started asking me questions, and this other unit had asked her to not talk on the radio in case I needed to put out more emergency traffic to keep the radio open for me.
That's all units holding traffic, all units hold traffic.
That's just referred to as a hot tone. You're going to hear that beep intermittently. That's to advise units that might be coming into our area. If they hear what referred to as the hot tone, they are not to speak onto the radio. It's being held for an emergency use.
325 is down. Put an ATL out on the last vehicle he had with the Kansas plate, blue in color, occupied times 5.
So I need to update dispatch. Their protocol is they're about to alert all the surrounding agencies that we've been involved in the shooting. So I'm updating her, letting her know Charles 325, which is Trooper Casey, he's down. I want her to, I never saw or I didn't memorize the license plate on the vehicle. I just did notice it was a Kansas plate vehicle. So I wanted her to go through his computer history and she can see what registrations he ran. So I asked her to check his history for his last 2.8. A 2.8 is a vehicle check. I want her to put an ATL out. That's an attempt to locate for this vehicle. It's blue in color, it has Kansas plate, and it's occupied with 5 occupants.
Now, at the same time, you're rendering medical aid to Trooper Casey, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Charles 226, 10-4. Charles 225 is down. ATL for the last vehicle. Kansas 1028, blue in color, occupied times 5.
326, advise fire. Officer's been shot in the head.
So they're in direct contact with emergency personnel that's coming to the scene. Even though I knew he wasn't going to bleed out externally, I was worried that he was going to bleed out internally. So I wanted her to update fire to let him know he'd been shot in the head so that for responding emergency personnel, they knew that means he just needs to be transported. They don't need to stop and unload equipment to treat on scene. That to let them know, basically the backboard and transport, they're going to strap them down and get them to a level 1 hospital as soon as possible.
26, 10-4. Copy. Charles 328, 1019.
So at this point, Trooper, you took control of the scene, both on the radio airwaves, correct?
Correct.
Saving Trooper Casey's life, correct? And controlling the scene?
Yes, that's correct.
329, 10-4.
10-4, 307. Charles 326, is the scene clear for fire to enter?
And at that point, is she seeking permission from you to make sure that it's a safe place to go?
Correct. Fire personnel is unarmed and they don't wear any protective equipment, bulletproof vests. They don't know if it's an active scene or yet. So they're asking permission to come into the scene. If it's clear, that means if there's no longer a threat to them, so they can drive into the scene.
10-4.
10-4, the scene is clear for fire to enter.
Another location.
What's happening there?
That's just another unit from our sister squad who didn't have a computer at the time, so he cannot see on his computer where this is happening. So he was just asking for the location so he could come to assist.
The location is the Knights Inn South on 17 at McDowell.
Charles 329, 7.
Charles 320, 10-4.
And that's just my sergeant advising that he's arrived on
Charles
scene.
320, if you could notify 100, I'm going to need SIU, VCU, and photo.
What's being said there?
So my sergeant's starting a critical incident protocol, which means he's asking our dispatcher to advise some of our command staff and also advise our investigating units so they can be assembled to come to the scene to start the investigation portion.
Is this a day you remember clearly?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to ask you a very pointed question. Were you placed in reasonable apprehension of imminent physical injury?
Yes, I was.
Did you see the shooter? You didn't see the identity. Shoot from the vehicle?
Yes, I did.
Did you believe that Trooper Casey, after being shot directly in the face, could have died?
I believed he was dead when he was shot.
I have no further questions at this time.
All right. This is probably a good time for a 10-minute break. Please remember the admonition applies. We will see you back here at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
All rise for adjourn.
Sir, you may leave the witness stand. Please be seated. Anything we should address before we take our 10-minute break?
From the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor.
All right, we resume with cross-examination at 3 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.